we are now going to be talking to Hawaii head baseball coach Mike Trapasso. What's going on, Coach?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for having me on. How are we doing?
We are good, man. I'm actually doing the show under my desk, so I'm trying to hide from this pandemic. So just bear with me. It might be a little bit, a little bit low in certain aspects of moving under my desk. Okay.
Well, I can hear you fine if you're talking through your mask, so we're all good.
I like him already, Speedy. I like him already. Oh, as you guys know, we're talking to Mike Trapasso, the head baseball coach of Hawaii. So, Coach, why don't you tell us a little bit about your school and the growth of your baseball organization?
Well, we're the University of Hawaii. We're the only Division I school on the island in the state. So, and it's an interesting dynamic that we have here. It's a great place to go to school. It's Hawaii is Honolulu in particular. We're on Oahu in Honolulu, and campus is about less than 2 miles from Waikiki Beach. So it's as you can imagine, a beautiful place. It's it's a neat dynamic in that there are no professional sports of any kind in the state and in Honolulu. And Honolulu's a good-sized city. We've got over 1 million people on our island, and the sports entertainment dollar that someone in Honolulu wants to spend is going to be for the University of Hawaii, whether it's football, baseball, volleyball, basketball. So we get great great fans, a lot of passion, and it's an interesting place. I'm going on my 20th year here. I'm from the Midwest originally, and it's just a great place to be.
How does the geography and climate of Hawaii, being very unique, obviously, from the regular 48 states, how does that impact the baseball team and the baseball field when you play?
Yeah, obviously, when you take a look at the things that come to mind initially are the climate is great for baseball. We can play year round. Of course, we don't, in case our compliance officer is listening. We follow all the rules to the letter, so we wouldn't do anything that we're not supposed to. But obviously, it's a beautiful place. The weather is great year round. When I came here, Hawaii actually has a rich baseball tradition, and we had a coach that started the program and was a legend. Local gentleman named Les Murakami, who's in the College Baseball Hall of Fame, and built a tremendous stadium. We've got a great environment where we're actually top 20, top 25 in the country in the NCAA every year in attendance. So we get great. It's a great environment to come to the games. We sell beer at our games, and I think that's one of the reasons why we also get good attendance. And it's a great atmosphere for college baseball that you really can't get on the West Coast. It's more akin to an SEC Big 12 atmosphere that we have here. So it starts with the weather, and then we've got a great facility, great fan support. For baseball, we're in the Big West Conference, so we're not a Power 5 conference. We're a mid-major, but the Big West Conference for baseball is one of your better conferences for baseball. It's tremendous with historically great teams like Cal State Fullerton, Long Beach State, UC Irvine, Cal Poly, UC Santa Barbara. We've had 4 different schools go to the College World Series over the last 6 years. It's a great baseball. When I first got here, we were in the WAC, the Western Athletic Conference, but about 6 years ago, we moved into the Big West. So for baseball in particular, it's a great atmosphere, and it's a great conference to be in.
As you guys know, we are talking to Hawaii's head baseball coach, Mike Trapasso. Now, Coach, I ask a lot of coaches this. When you're recruiting a player, you're going into their homes, and you're trying to sell your school, and there's so many other schools. There are so many Power 5 teams that you can go and play for, but you're walking right in there with some of your coaches, and you're selling your school. How do you sell not only the academic, the school as a whole, being that it's in Hawaii, but sell your baseball program to these players?
Yeah, it's a great question, guys. It starts obviously with the interest that you'll get. We initially by saying, hey, the University of Hawaii, you can come and play in a beautiful atmosphere. Everybody may not like beaches and bikinis, but most guys do. So that's a great place to start. And obviously we've got some challenges to our recruiting because of our location, because of our distance, and that's something that's hard for some kids to to overcome, because it's the nearest the nearest state next to Hawaii is California, and it's 2,500 miles away. And so we obviously have that challenge to overcome. But if you can overcome that distance obstacle, we do, like I said, have some pretty interesting things for college baseball anyway on the West Coast, in that we have a tremendous facility. We're top 20. We lead the West Coast in attendance almost every year. We do have, it's a very good school academically, I think, very underrated. Obviously, like every school, it depends on what you're wanting to major in. But the things you would sure think Hawaii would be strong in, we are. Oceanography, marine biology, meteorology, but we're also very good at business. Our business school is actually ranked in the top 30 colleges of business by U.S. News and World Report. But you know what, guys? At the end of the day, it's like everything. No matter where you are or where I've been, it comes down to establishing relationships, just getting to know the kids and their families, and trying to earn their trust, to earn mom and dad's trust. That allows you to get the kid on campus and let them know that we're here for them and working for them. And like I've always said in recruiting, it's about winning over the mom, because if you don't win the mom over, you're not going to get the son. That's for sure.
So you actually went in my next question nicely. The big disadvantage, you being in Hawaii with, again, not part of the continental United States, is jet lag. You play in a conference, again, mostly against those California teams you mentioned, but they're all really close together, so they don't really have to deal with that problem as much. What strategies do you use and your staff use in order to help these players overcome the jet lag and try to just play through it?
That's a great question, because it really does come into play in our season. We're fortunate. We'll play a great schedule every year. And in our non-conference, what's funny is that we, for the most part, we'll play, almost all of our non-conference games here, because everybody wants to travel to Hawaii. So we'll take one non-conference weekend series on the mainland and play, but everything else is here. But then once we start conference play, we're back and forth quite a bit, and it could be every other weekend. They'll take about 5 or 6 trips to the mainland every spring. So it does wear on you, and it's harder when you're heading to the east. It's easier when you're coming west, with the time difference. But we've learned over the years to try to we'll leave a day early so we can let the kids. The first day when they land, they'll want to sleep in, and then we'll let them try to get that jet lag out of their system. We'll practice on the facility the night before, and try to get that flight out of their system, and then play the game the next day. So we try to leave a couple days before the series might begin, but it's not easy, and there's nothing to hide. You can't hide from it. There's no way to get around it. You just I think you just got to power through it. And, fortunately we're dealing with 18 to 22 year olds that have a lot more energy than I do. So they're able to deal with it. But, you try to make sure that they're getting plenty of sleep, and you're working on nutrition and doing the best you can just to take care of your bodies and not burn the candle at both ends.
As you guys know, we are talking to Hawaii head baseball coach Mike Trapasso. Now, Coach, I look at baseball and I look at the Tommy John situation with pitchers, even players right now. And I've asked a lot of coaches this, and I asked the last coach, Coach Beezer, what is his thoughts of the whole pandemic of Tommy Johns? Because to me, it's a pandemic now. Every single great pitcher that we've seen in the major leagues, except Max Scherzer he's the only one out of the top pitchers we've seen over the years that hasn't had Tommy John surgery. Do you think the reason is because a lot of the parents push their kids at a young age to throw fastballs and curveballs at a young age? Or do you think it's just because the game has transitioned into a power pitching game?
I think you nailed it on both ends. I think that both things you mentioned are contributing factors to to what we're seeing. We see kids specializing at an early age and just focusing on baseball, and you've got the what we call the showcase ponies that go and play in showcases over the summer, and kids are playing 150 games in the summer, and at the same time, the game, you're right, pitching has changed just in the last 8 to 12 years to where it is all about power, and to reach that goal, that 90-mile-an-hour magic number for pitchers, for kids that are 15, it's all about get to 90, and there's no question that the body and the arm, it's going to break down, and fortunately, at the same time, our medical technology has gotten so good to where Tommy John, as funny as it sounds, is almost become a routine surgery now. And it's funny. I would rather have a guy, one of my pitchers, go through a Tommy John, a major elbow reconstruction, than even a minor shoulder surgery. Because for pitchers, man, the shoulder surgeries are tricky. You get a lot of guys, in my experience anyway, of coaching at the Division I level, that come back from a shoulder surgery, it just changes the arm action, and it's really tricky. I'm about 50-50 on shoulder surgeries, whereas the elbow Tommy John guys almost always come back.
Interesting.
Very interesting. In terms of the strategy for you, when you play another Power 5 team, or like you were mentioning earlier, a lot of those Southern California teams that have been college baseball powerhouses, is there anything different you do managerially in terms of a strategy standpoint when playing against those teams?
You know what? It's interesting in that in my career, college baseball is kind of funny because you've got the Midwest and the East Coast, which is where I started. I'm from the Midwest. I played at Oklahoma State. I've coached at South Florida and at Georgia Tech, and it's changing a little bit to where it's a little more cohesive nationwide. But what you had for years and years was Midwest, East Coast baseball was more. From an offensive standpoint, anywhere was more, power generated and more what you'd see in Major League Baseball today. Whereas the West Coast was always seen, and still a little bit today, it seemed more of a small ball generated type of offense where you play more for your pitching defense, the bunting game, the execution side of baseball is a lot more prevalent, even still today, on the West Coast than it would be maybe in the Big 12 or the SEC. And so it is kind of funny that way. But, from our standpoint, like every club, every year, it's different. Depends on your personnel, your team, what kind of talent you've got. We play, one of the things about our ballpark at home is it's a big park. The trade winds, the Hawaii trade winds blow in from left field. They blow from left field to right field. So it's hard to hit the ball out of our ballpark. So our focus is pitching defense, and we'll have to execute a little bit more maybe than when we were at Georgia Tech. When I was there, we had a smaller ballpark, and we'd recruit guys like Mark Teixeira to just go and hit a bunch of home runs. And it was just a different type of offensive game. So it depends every year on your team, and regardless of who we're playing, we'll always stick to our strengths, whether it's offensively or mainly on the mound. Where regardless of who we're playing, we're gonna stick to our strengths if there are any questions.